Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mikes podcast.
Now, I don't know whether it would be considered to be churlish at this moment, but I think it's a good time to mention that, by the way,
yes,
you and I have been nominated for an award for our coverage of the American election.
We have.
By IRN News.
We have.
We'll find out a bit later on this month whether we've won it or
That's
not.
That's right.
For Talk Radio, because, of course, we were simulcasting Talk Sport and Talk Radio that night.
Certainly
it was quite
were.
a night. It was a fantastic night, an historic night. Ever since then, of course, Donald Trump was inaugurated back in January.
Yes.
His first month was what can only be described as chaotic.
Yes.
And was punctuated by several massive problems, including the resignation of his national security advisor. We're going to talk now to Gabby Morangello, reporter for the DC Examiner, to find out whether the next second month is going any better. Gabby, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Not at all.
Hi, Gabby. Great to have you on the show.
Now,
Thank you.
the speech that Mr. Trump made earlier on this week to the two joint houses of Congress seems to have been seen as a bit of a kind of a conciliation, really, by him, and something of a rowing back from some of the positions he's been adopting. Is that how it's being seen in Washington?
Well, it's not necessarily being seen as him retreating on the key policies that he put forward on the campaign trail, but it has been well received both by Democrats and Republicans. This is really a moment where he showed that he can behave presidentially and, extend an olive branch to his political opponents and to those who have spent months since the election criticizing his every move.
Right. And is this him realising that in order to make things happen sort of inside the Beltway, he has to play the game? Or is it a bit more serious than that and he's working out that he cannot be the Donald Trump from the television? He has to be, a bit more like somebody who actually occupies the Oval Office?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, he realizes that he only has a certain amount of political capital that he'll be able to use to push through some of the more controversial proposals that he espoused on the campaign trail. Things like, the immigration that he wants to pursue and the Obamacare repeal and replace plan. So it was a little bit of him reaching out to Democrats across the aisle and saying that I want to work with you, and there are some areas where I'm willing to compromise, whether that's on a comprehensive immigration reform bill or an infrastructure spending. And it was also him showing that he's capable of acting like, the commander-in-chief, that
right.
he can put on a true show. He is an entertainer, so I think it's important to remember that, he is somebody who's been acting. He's been in reality TV for years, and it wasn't, as much as a shock it was to see him behave the way he did during his first speech to a joint session of Congress. I don't think it's necessarily an indication that that's how he's going to continue to behave going forward.
Gabby, isn't the problem that if he continues to go this way, then he has actually lost the reason why millions of people voted for him, and that is to repel, the status quo, to repel the politicisation of the whole world, and to get in there as Donald Trump and do it his way. That's why people voted for him, to get rid of political correctness. If he now starts appearing to be presidential in the way that presidents are supposed to speak, the joint session of Congress on Wednesday saw what they thought was a man moving more towards presidential type attitudes. Hasn't he lost the very reason for being Donald Trump?
Well, this is a question that came up time and time again during the campaign. I mean, if you remember back in July of 2015, right after he had entered the race, he would criticize his opponents routinely for using teleprompters on stage and for relying on prepared remarks. And then, 6 to 8 months later, he got out on the campaign trail, and instead of delivering one of his freewheeling campaign rallies, he stuck to a set of prepared remarks and had a teleprompter on stage. And at that time, everybody asked themselves, is this the moment where he's going to start hemorrhaging his support? Is he going to lose the very people who were drawn to him in the first place because he was so unorthodox and so willing to say whatever was on his mind?
Yeah.
And obviously, the election results taught us that wasn't the case. And so I don't think as long as he pursues the policy agenda that he promised and continues to deliver on what he said he would, I don't think that his supporters are going to take issue with him when just seeing him behave a little bit more presidential.
Yeah.
And has it been surprising to you, Gabby, how sort of the Republican Party has kind of warmed to him, as it were? Because before he was elected, the Republicans were not exactly in a grand sense on his side, but they seem to be kind of shuffling in behind him now and going, well, he's our president, so we must support him.
Yeah, it has been interesting to see the dynamic between him and House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell kind of change. I mean, he and Paul Ryan certainly had some contentious moments during the election and also during the transition operation. And now they seem to have a very warm and working relationship. So it's been interesting to see that. But I think what's even more surprising is to see, ultra-conservative members of Congress coming around to some of the big government policies and proposals that this president is putting forward. There are members of the House Freedom Caucus who would typically oppose a massive economic stimulus package, who are now saying that they're at least open to the thought of working on a $1 trillion infrastructure plan, which is what he had put forward on the trail and again mentioned during his speech on Tuesday. So I think it's really interesting to see what's happening there and whether his administration is headed for a clash with ultra-conservative members of Congress who eventually are going to come to a point where they can't necessarily support some of these broader federal spending packages and big government reforms.
I get the feeling, Gabby, that another reason why President Trump is becoming more presidential is once, the new president slaps on the old baseball cap on board an aircraft carrier, I think today it was the Gerald R. Ford, and starts really imagining himself as the commander-in-chief of the biggest group of armed forces in the world, they do become very presidential. Exactly the same thing happened to Bill Clinton the first time he met the military.
Yeah, I think that there's a very sobering moment in those visits with, the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect this country.
Exactly.
It seems to be a theme that we've really seen both in his visit today in Newport News, Virginia, and also just a few weeks ago when he was visiting U.S. Central Command down in Tampa, Florida. He spoke at the Air Force Base there, and it was a moment, of course, similar to today and similar to his speech Tuesday night where he was very presidential.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you there. I think that it's definitely something that puts into perspective for him the tremendous amount of responsibility he has and the fact that there are literally lives in his hands that he will have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
I totally agree with you. When he's got, a $10,000 suit on and he's just the same bloke he was when he's pulling off a business deal in Trump Towers, then that's one aspect of being President of the United States. But it's always that baseball cap that worries me about the size
and
of
the old bomber jacket.
Exactly, the old bomber jacket, which says Commander-in-Chief in the baseball cap, and they change overnight. And I remember when Bill Clinton was there, he started using all sorts of military expressions. How are those grapes on the roof? Those are the guys who fuel the planes and all that kind of stuff, And that's the minute they become presidential.
And what about, Gabby, what's going on sort of inside the White House? Because we've got another story tonight about the U.S. Attorney General saying he's not going to take part in any investigation into Russian interference, which doesn't go away, right? Jeff Sessions is the latest kind of victim of all of this. He's already lost one national security advisor. And what about the influence inside the White House of some of the people that have been described as the alt-right types? How is that all going?
Well, I think that there's been a lot of reporting on the relationship between the president and this close circle that he has of, about 4 key advisors. Steve Bannon, as you mentioned, is seen as one of those alt-right figures. Yeah. Reince Priebus, his chief of staff, is a bit more establishment-friendly. And then you have Stephen Miller, his speechwriter, and Kellyanne Conway, of course. And between the 4 of them, so far, I think that they've been able to reach a balance and to kind of have harmony in the way that they're working together on a day-to-day basis. But again, there might come a point where when you have a chief strategist who's constantly competing for the president's attention against the president's own chief of staff, and you don't really have this valid chain of command in the White House, it could lead to problems down the road, and we may have already seen glimpses of that here and there.
Okay. And how about the way that you're feeling as a member of the press? Because, of course, he spends an awful lot of time, though he didn't do it the other night, castigating members of the press as the enemies of the people, variously, or perhaps the purveyors of fake news. How are you getting treated?
I've been treated well. I don't have any complaints right now, but I do hope that the relationship right now between the White House press corps and the administration does improve, because I know I've been fortunate in the way I've been treated. But
so when they banned lots of other journalists, did you not all think, well, we should all just walk out?
There was some talk of that, but then there are also reporters who say, look, I have a job to do, and it's a contentious topic in the White House press corps right now, how to handle an administration that seems keen on shutting out some outlets and making sure that there's a change in who gets what and how much access to information and resources certain media outlets have.
We are The Two Mikes. Don't forget to go to our website, thetwomics.co.uk, where you can find a whole panoply of interesting things, including some recipes of yours, some recipes of mine. A lot of people are trying out my chicken curry recipe, actually, which is very, very good.
I saw one person who had,
No, there's been quite a few people who say it's absolutely delicious.
Really?
So you've got to try it. You've got to do it. Here's one from Rico, I think it is, who says, just a quick fact, my hometown of Corby in Northamptonshire is the biggest seller of iron brew outside of Scotland.
Is it?
It is a great drink. Well, Corby, of course, famously...
it's very Scottish.
It's very Scottish.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because everybody emigrated from Scotland to Corby.
Yeah, but why, though?
Because there was an iron ore works there, wasn't there?
Steelworks, yes.
Steelworks, that's right.
Yeah. British Steel, as it used to be,
that's right.
had a massive plant there.
Yeah.
It's also the home, of course, of the Corby Trouser Press.
Corby Trouser Press, absolutely
which is
right.
not at all Scottish.
That's right.
Have you ever used one of those?
I don't use trouser presses.
Don't you?
Unless they're my own in my house, and I don't need to because I've got somebody who presses my trousers for me.
Really?
But the idea of
Were they off the other night, then, when you came in to show us off your new shoes? Because people were complaining that not only were your new shoes hideous looking, but your trousers were a complete and utter disgrace.
No, they weren't.
Because they weren't properly pressed.
No, my trousers are always properly pressed. You're the guy who comes in with trousers look as though they've been wrung out.
Yeah, but you see, I have a sort of a slightly different view of working on the radio.
Yeah,
right?
You can't work out how to get your trousers washed and cleaned and pressed.
No, when we go out to places like Wembley or the XL, or indeed Crystal Palace, or possibly West Ham, which will be later on this season, I wear a very nice suit.
Yeah. You seem to wear the same suit every time we go out now.
I have three
down
suits.
To one?
No, I have three suits which are identical.
Oh, really?
Grey suits.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one before.
Have
you?
You?
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
You don't wear a suit at all, though, so I'm worried whether you don't actually have one. Because all you do is wear the same old tramp's trousers and the Mother Care shoes
that's not
and a
true.
hideous shirt. Well, the pictures are there for all to see.
You've seen me in my collection of black suits. I've got about half a dozen black suits. I don't
why
wear
don't you
them
wear one of them when we go out and actually represent Talk Sport in an open venue?
I have done many times.
Well, not in any of the things we've done together.
With my £150 black loafers, leather loafers, which I wear with my suit.
You think £150 is a lot of money for a pair of shoes?
Well, consider I only wear them 6 times a year. Now, listen, I've had a note here from one guy who said, you haven't mentioned I'm Brew's most famous drinker. I didn't know about him, actually. But anyway, apparently his name is David Lang, Laing, who is a Scotsman.
Yeah.
He drinks 3 litres of Iron Brew a day.
That can't be good.
And has been told to cut down because
that
could do more damage to your liver than drinking 3 litres of whiskey
a day. That
a day.
can't be a good idea, can it?
And it says a guy so keen on it, he's famous in Scotland for having had a complete can of Iron Brew tattooed on his leg during during a procedure which took a week.
Well, I'm sure that's lovely for him, but that doesn't sound like drinking that amount of any kind of soft drink or any hard liquor would be very good for you.
I would agree.
Here's a text that I've got here from somebody who doesn't give a name. Oh, no, it's Laurie the Hammer, sorry.
Yes.
MG, should Porky have a bit of a triumph on the quiz tonight, you may consider that he purchased 2 boxes of Trivial Pursuit. One he opened and studied, and the other he handed to you still sealed. Would he really be that devious? Well, Laurie, I'm completely confident that even if he did manage to be that devious, his short-term memory is such that he wouldn't remember any of the questions and answers that he'd studied. So don't worry about it.
I think that's very harsh. Listen, I tell you who keeps popping up all the time.
Yeah.
Particularly now as the Queen, has reached another milestone. She's 90 and all that kind of stuff. That little creep, Paul Burrell.
Creep?
Yeah. Did you ever come across him?
Well, funnily enough, the Mirror bought him up.
Right.
As the butler of Diana.
Yes.
And...
was that after the court case in which he got off and then, went round telling everybody, the lady came up for me, the lady.
Yeah.
He reckons that the Queen intervened in the whole legal process to say no, he didn't misappropriate any possessions owned by previous members of the royal family. He was quite entitled to have them in his possession.
Well, the great story about him was that, as you know, whenever this sort of thing happens, you have to sort of take him out of the way so that nobody else can get anything out of him, because people, inevitably, if some journalist turns up on the doorstep, they'll speak to them, right?
That's right.
And so they had to get him out of the way of his place. He lived up somewhere near, not far from Chester, I think.
He has a flower shop
Wales, right?
in a village called Farndon.
That's right,
which is just outside Chester.
Yeah.
And, apparently that was the basis of his business life. But he was never there because he was always flying off to America and appearing on shows, pretending to be an expert on the royal family.
But before that happened, he was brought up by the Mirror.
Yes.
And one of the Mirror reporters was sort of, assigned to him. Yeah. And so they took him off to a safe house in Dublin, right? But the problem was he had this rather unfortunate predilection for gay bars in Dublin, right?
That's right.
And despite the fact that his marriage was going, not particularly well, unfortunately, I used to talk to this guy who was minding him, right? And he said the problem is every night he's literally over the wall,
That's right.
He sort of somehow managed to escape from my grasp. And I have to go and find him in the sort of the flesh pots of Dublin and drag him back.
I know, it was quite amazing. I mean, he was the guy who told the world, that Diana used to call me her rock.
Yes.
And then, over the years it emerged that actually Diana used to find him an absolute blinking nuisance.
Another word that ended in O-C-K that she wanted to call him.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't quite rock.
The allegations were that, perhaps he wasn't quite the rock.
And also he then kind of got so carried away that he was one of these guys where if he said one thing and you kind of looked at him and said, well, that's not very good, then he'd say something even more outlandish. Because did he not say that she told me that I was in grave danger? And she told me that, she was worried that she was going to be assassinated and all this cobbles.
On one occasion, he appeared as the star witness in some court case, which was a libel case. Somebody was suing somebody else. Right. And he was called as a star expert witness, and said something in the witness box which turned out to be completely erroneous and completely, turned the case on its head. But the reason I mention it is because there's and do you remember the other occasion in which he was allegedly, what you just said about those gay bars and things, and it's very publicly known, isn't it? That
I don't think it's a secret.
No, exactly. Wasn't it one time supposed to have been having a sort of relationship or seeking a relationship with a former very famous comedian who appeared on television a lot?
I think that is possible. I don't remember that precisely. But there was also the time where I think the Mail hired him to be like an etiquette expert.
That's right.
Which also turned out to be a lot of old cobblers as well, because everybody said, well, we don't really like this guy because he's basically betrayed Princess Diana fans were not fans of his because he should have kept stum. And then he shouldn't have said anything.
I think he then went on to all these sort of shopping channels selling a load of old royal tat, didn't he?
A load of old tat, which to Americans going, oh, really? There's that from Princess Diana's house?
Yeah, that's right, made of
Funnily enough, today,
chalk.
I had an American tourist come up to me. I was outside, I was in Borough Market, as I tend to be.
Right,
in this very nice Spanish tapas bar.
Yes.
And I was outside talking to somebody on the phone. Yeah. And this American sort of woman of a certain age came up to me and said, excuse me, could you tell me where some such a theatre is, right? And I said, no, I don't know. I said, I've never heard of that. I said, what street is it on? Yeah. And she went, Southwark. And I said, oh, do you mean Southwark Street? Yeah. Southwark. And she wouldn't accept that it was called Southwark. She kept saying Southwark.
Well,
and I'm like, well, it sounds like, it looks like that, but it's actually Southwark Street.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I told her to go down back that sort of...
That's right.
I have no idea whether...
I didn't know there was a theatre on Southwark Street, to be honest.
She said it's where the old London Bridge car park is.
London Bridge car park?
And I said, well, there used to be a car park down over there.
That's right,
so I sent her that way. But,
maybe she'd just come down from Edinburgh.
Yeah, maybe, very possibly.
But anyway, the reason for this is
Mary
because...
LeBone.
Yeah, Mary LeBone. Is being the resident TV reviewer, I'm aware of the fact there's a Channel 5 documentary coming up, so that will have been made by our mate.
What? You mean Ben?
Ben, Ben. Top man, the program director of Channel 5, who was so distracted when we saw him because he was having a £6,000 tooth implant.
That's right.
And he just made a failed programme with some TV star that he said was going to bankrupt the station.
A very big TV star, actually.
Exactly.
Quite big in radio as well.
Well, he's made inroads into radio. Yeah. But anyway, in this Channel 5 documentary, he talks about the time he was at Windsor Castle. This is all to do with the imminent visit of President Donald Trump to this country.
Right.
And he tells the documentary that when Ronald Reagan visited in 1982, squads of Secret Servicemen descended on Windsor Castle to find out if it was safe to bring the president here. And I peeked out of the Oak Room window in Windsor Castle, and I said to Her Majesty, have they come to check out the castle to make sure it's safe for the president? Can you believe the cheek of the Americans?
What's he mean by that?
Well, I don't quite know.
I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's their job.
Exactly.
What's it got to do with him?
Apparently, he's saying that the Queen was very upset that she couldn't believe that Windsor Castle wasn't deemed safe enough for the President of the United States.
See, that's probably more rubbish from him.
Yeah,
Why
probably.
would the Queen be outraged? I mean, she knows perfectly well what happens when a Secret Service detail comes in.
The one that got me is, he wrote the original book, when Paul Burrell, the Royal Insider and all that.
Yeah.
And,
And he wasn't.
No, I know he wasn't. No, but the way that people always talk about how their life started and it came from small acorns, to huge oak trees and all that. He said the reason why he got into royal service is, I find it so amusing. He said that, when he was about 6 or something, his mother took him to London on a sightseeing tour and they got to Buckingham Palace and he saw the changing of the guard. He said, but behind the changing of the guard, he saw all these royal skivvies running around with pans and things, and
well, that's another lie because you don't say that.
Yeah, and basically brushing up on all that.
Yeah.
And then he made this dramatic statement. He said, and I determined to myself at that moment, one of these days, I was going to be one of those royal skivvies. He's got an ambition to become like a servant.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I'm a complete charlatan, I have to say.
Yeah.
With due regard to process.
But then he rapped all night about his suicide. I'd kick it in the head when he was 25. Speed jive, don't want to stay alive when you're 25. And when he's stealing clothes from Marks and Sparks, and Freddy's got spots from ripping up the stars from his face. Funky little.
Now, I'm very delighted to say that you've got a little bit of praise here, which is unusual.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to read it out.
Yes.
It's from Jerry, who's in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
And he says, thanks, Porky, for the heads up about Peaky Blinders. I've watched all 3 series twice on Netflix.
Yeah.
It is brilliant.
It is brilliant. I totally agree.
How about that?
And funny enough, I've never deleted the episodes of Peaky Blinders from the 3rd series, but I've got the box sets of the first 2.
Have you?
And when I get a bit of a moment, I'm going to watch the whole thing through.
Okay.
A week's holiday for me would honestly be to satiate myself with Peaky Blinders and all those other great programmes I've missed.
Well, good. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I will. Now, that was a bit of Mott the Hoople,
Mott
right?
the Hoople, All Young Dudes.
Do you like them?
It's a great song.
That's right, yeah.
They were, I would say, one of those bands that I didn't like everything they did, but I liked Roll Away the Stone. I liked All the Young Dudes.
Got to roll away
you have to
the
sing
stone.
it.
Yeah.
And All the Young Dudes, of course, written by David Bowie and given to Mott the Hoople, given to Ian Hunter to make a big hit of. And they were of their time, rather good.
Now, hang on. It was All the Young Dudes, Roll Away the Stone.
Yeah.
What was the third one? They had a third great hit.
There was another hit, yeah.
And I remember I was working up in Newcastle at the time and thought it was great. Roll Away the Stone. Anyway, I'll come to it now. Anyway, the reason we're playing that is that they had a bass player, a guy called Peter Overend Watts, okay?
Overend Watts?
Peter
like double-barrelled?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
His middle name was Overend, Overend Watts.
Okay.
He had a strange name because his father was a university lecturer in Birmingham.
Okay.
So he's brought up in the sort of world of academica, but broke out of that. Now
all the way from Memphis. Is that the other one you're thinking of?
Maybe.
That's their other third hit, really.
Maybe, yeah.
I can remember that one.
I'm just trying to think... anyway, the point of the story is he was the guy, right, in the 70s who is credited with inventing the look of the stacked heels, the flared trousers, and the long hair.
Right.
He invented this look.
But they all had that look, didn't they?
Well, no, he was the one. He was the one who he sported a pair of outlandish thigh-high platform boots. And with his haystack of silver sprayed hair, made him the epitome of the outrageous 1970s glam rocker, and is now credited as being the man who invented glam rock. Okay,
right.
And he sadly died because people do.
Well, all these guys are getting to that age, aren't they?
Well, he's 69. It's not that old. So
it's not. But I mean, all of these guys who were massively big in the 70s are what you would describe as coming to sort of the end of their tether, aren't they?
That's right. He very sadly died of throat cancer, which a lot of people seem to be suffering from these days.
Yeah.
And do you know what that could be? That could be anything about smoking drugs in the 60s.
And drinking and all that.
Drinking, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the reason why he's also quite an interesting character is that when he wore these stacked heels, he could hardly walk. I mean, literally, they were so high.
Did you have platform shoes?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Huge. And I had a pair that were so big that they snapped in the middle.
Did they?
You know, because the sole was about 2 or 3 inches thick.
Yeah.
The heel was about 6 inches thick, and there was only a little bit of sort of leather which, held the two together.
Sure.
And it snapped. And
I used to go to a shop in Kensington, I remember,
Oh,
where
yeah?
I bought them, yeah.
Really?
I think it's still there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those ridiculously sort of fashionable
I loved
shops.
my shoes. I really did. I loved them. And I loved the flares and everything.
My father was absolutely horrified when I used to wear them.
my parents were as well. They just couldn't believe it. They said it'll cripple you and
Yeah.
you look ridiculous.
Right.
You look like a girl and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
But anyway, the point is that the response to him staggering around on these stacked heels, because that was the image that was promoted in the sort of mid-70s, was that when the group sort of disappeared or just broke up or whatever, he then decided that in order to restore his health from staggering around on these high heels, he'd go for a walk along the South Coast path.
Oh, yeah. Where's that?
Well, it can run from as far as Cornwall to Kent, you see.
That's a bit of a long way to walk in platform shoes.
Well, no, he took the platform shoes off and put flat shoes on to try and restore his body momentum in walking. Anyway, it was supposed to be like a walk for a day. He said, I'm going to go on the South Coast, I'm going to walk. And his ambition was to walk 20 miles, but he got obsessed with it and he walked 680 miles.
What do you think he's in both of them?
Well, it took him 2 months.
Really?
And he wouldn't stop.
Right.
And it took over his life. And when he'd finished all that walking, he then decided that he needed contentment, so he spent the next few years fishing.
Right.
And didn't speak to anybody.
Okay.
He sat on a riverbank.
Did he live alone? Was he not married or anything?
He never got married.
Okay.
And he spent 2 or 3 years fishing for carps by sitting on a riverbank.
Carps?
Yeah, for carp. That's a particular fish.
Yes, I know that.
And with a luminous pink rod. don't know about the luminous pink rod.
Why would he have a luminous pink rod?
I don't know, but he did. But anyway, he was one of the colourful characters of the glam rock era, and perhaps the man who even invented it.
Well,
and he sadly departed.
Well, one of those bands that sort of came and went quite quickly, weren't they? I mean, I'm sure people will argue with me and go, "Oh no, they were around for ages." But as far as their kind of time in the firmament. Ian Hunter was the lead singer, who was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Mick Ronson, of course, ended up playing guitar for David Bowie for quite a lot of his career as well. And he was also in Mott the Hoople. So there was a bit of a sort of, crossover between that.
I've got a bit of information here.
Have you?
They went on tour, Mott the Hoople.
Yes.
And they were in Switzerland, and the tour didn't work, and the shows weren't very good. They came back and they decided to split up, okay?
Yeah.
But the problem is, in the mail that they picked up when they got back, they found a note from David Bowie.
Yeah.
David Bowie had been an early fan of the band. He thought their sound was good.
Well, that's why he gave them the song.
Well, I was about to say to you, I'll tell you what happened. And he sent them a tape of a new composition he'd just written called Suffragette City.
Yes.
Anyway.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and a personal hand note from Bowie said, "This might be of some use to you guys. Would you like to cover it?"
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the band had been so poor on their European tour, they'd broken up. So Peter over in Watts rings up David Bowie and said, look, thanks ever so much for offering us that song, but actually, I'm afraid that we're not going to need it now because we've broken up. Mott the Hoople are splitting up.
Right.
And Bowie said, you guys can't. You're very, very good. He said, look, I'll call you back in a couple of hours.
Right.
Bowie then called them back to say, look, if you didn't like that song, Suffragette City, I've just written another one for you, and it's called All the Young Dudes.
Right.
And he played it over the phone on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And that was actually when Mott the Hoople became...
And that was their biggest hit, wasn't it?
It was the biggest hit. That's when they became an established band.
Yeah.
So they'd been touring around
guy.
Europe in the back of a van, you know what I mean, not getting anywhere, until Bowie gave them this song. And then, as you quite rightly say, that was what made them great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah.
How about this from somebody called Jim, who says, I'm sorry, fellas, but the Corby trouser press was in fact invented by John Corby in Windsor.
Right, yeah.
Nothing to do with the town of Corby.
No, I could have told you that.
I'm surprised about it.
Could have told you that.
Well, you could have, but you didn't tell me that.
Well,
so you didn't know it.
I like you to sometimes make a fool of yourself.
I don't make you see the difference between you and I, right? Is that I don't mind getting things wrong.
Yeah, well, I don't mind getting things wrong.
I'm quite happy to admit when I've got something wrong, but I'm not certain actually that's the correct explanation.
No, I think it is.
Why would you call it a Corby trouser press if you're not from Corby?
Because
because the guy's name is Corby.
Yeah, well, that's why you call.
What else can you call after somebody?
The Western pistol, invented by
Mr. Western.
Mr. Western, that's right, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course I'm sure.
Tar Macadam.
Well, what about the...
Yeah, but Western is not a place, is it? That's my point.
No, it's a man.
Yeah.
Well, all right, well...
What I'm saying is you call things after somebody if they've got a genuine name, and that's fine. It travels onto the manufactured thing.
Yes.
But if it shares its name with a geographical place...
But that doesn't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So it's not the same example. Give me an example of something which is named after a place, but there's actually nothing to do with it, like the Corby trouser press.
Why? Why do you want to?
Because that means that I don't think this is right.
I don't think you're talking sense.
I'm talking a lot of sense.
What I was going to tell you about trouser presses is, I used to have one at home, but they're useless. Really? Yeah, they're not...
You see, that's the kind of thing you would have, like a tease made as well, right?
Yeah, I had a tease made
as
well.
Sort of rubbish
in the 70s, everybody...
70s
Everyone
gadgets.
had a Corby trouser press, but they were actually useless. I used to get somebody to press my trousers much better. But
Did you never press your own?
Yeah, I did actually for a few years with a wet dishcloth.
How did you avoid making them shiny?
Because I wet the dishcloth and I used to steam
I was just trying to picture you doing this.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Standing there in your boxer shorts.
But the thing is, never in my life have I ever put my trousers into a Corby trouser press in a hotel. I don't know how many filthy pairs of trousers have been in that trouser press before mine. I'm serious.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't do it.
People do all sorts of weird things with Corby trousers.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, yeah.
Well.
I'm sure they do.
With trousers.
I'm sure they
do. How about
do.
this from Wrong Star?
Yeah.
It sounds like Paul Burrell was the royal family version of Porky at the FA. If Porky was butler to Diana, we'd have never heard the end of it.
No.
It's very true, that. A very good example of, what the problems are.
No.
Neil Irving says this. Porky would have told us Princess Diana was an Everton fan.
Well, I don't think I would. He used to go, to that pub. The
one in the middle of Victoria.
Yeah, it's right out the back of the Buckingham Palace, the Queen's Gallery.
Well, the one in the backstairs Billy used to hang out in.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't it called the nuts? There's something about nuts in it.
There is something about nuts, but it's nothing to do with the name.
No,
we'll get back to that.
Yeah, it was. What was it called?
I don't know. I've never been there.
Wasn't it called
I'm aware of
bag of
a bag of cobblers?
No, it was a bag of spades or a bag of nuts or something. No, it was. Bag of nails. It was called the Bag of Nails. Honest to God, the Bag of Nails pub.
If you say so.
In Victoria, and that's where all the royal sort of servants used to go for their fun after work.
Well, the only reason I know about it is because our man from the Mirror, who ended up becoming a servant, and getting himself blaggy his way into Buckingham Palace, used to go there all the time.
We used to send people in there all the
time.
time.
He said it was an absolute nightmare
to get royal secrets.
He said it was a nightmare.
You had to actually sometimes give your body up in order to find royal secrets.
Well, if you say so, I'm sure it was worth it. Craig says Leeds Castle isn't in Leeds. That's true. That's a good one.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
And here we are once again. Now, normally we only do this once a week, and we've got so much stuff to open.
I have to say,
it needs to be done.
I'm going to really rip through these because there's so much here to get through, and I want to thank everybody so much, kind of you to communicate with us on Postman Pork. Keep it coming. It is Postman Pork, 18 Hatfields, London, SE1 8DJ. Let's get going.
Anything from Alice this week?
Nothing from Alice. Now, the first one is a plastic bag, and there's a shape of something inside it, which I think might be a lollipop.
A lollipop?
Yeah, and I'm opening it. Oh, it's not a lollipop. What is it?
Where's it come from, this one?
Well, this has come, I don't know, there's a note inside.
Well, doesn't it say on the front, though? It's normally got a stamp. This is what I'm always looking for.
No, it just says Hatfields, London, United Kingdom. It's come from abroad.
Oh, right.
It's come from China.
China?
It's come from China. It's got Chinese writing on the outside.
Oh, right.
It's come from China.
Who's it addressed to?
It's addressed to me, Postman Pork.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, look, it's not a lollipop. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's I don't know what it is.
A widget?
Hang on.
What is it?
Oh, it's it's a device. I'm going to take a picture of it. It's a device which is a...
Looks like something they were torturing that guy from Taboo in.
Yeah, it does, yeah. But what it is, it's a cylinder on the end of an extended arm, which pushes half the cylinder away from the top half of the cylinder.
Right.
You clearly put something in it, and then you do something with it. But I don't know what.
Show it to me. Let me
see. Yeah, you have a look at that, and I'll keep opening.
This is a tea.
Yeah.
It's a tea thing. You put
What?
tea in it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's for
tea. Oh, okay.
You know how how...
well, that's why it's from China, then.
Well, exactly.
All the tea in China.
Do you know how...
You know the expression?
You put your tea in there, right?
Yeah.
And you put you stick it into the cup.
Brilliant.
And then you pour the hot water in.
Yeah.
And it basically, it diffuses the tea into the liquid.
Right, I'm ripping open this package now. It's parcel. What is in here? Seems
John
to be
Hearn's got one
some
of these,
kind
you
of
know.
a... Hey?
I think John Hearn's got one of these.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange. I wonder why he's got one. Right, the world's first voice-controlled hybrid radio for cars.
What?
This is what I've been sent.
A radio?
No, I've been sent, I think, a package to promote it. It says radio player car gives you more than just a great radio.
Right.
And then
You've already got a radio in your car, haven't you?
Oh, hang on. It is. Listen.
Well, it's a book that plays the radio.
It's a promotional book.
Yeah. Why are you playing the station that it's currently playing? It's a different station.
Yeah, I'm turning the volume up.
No, don't, because it's not our station. Why are you promoting a different station?
Because it's promoting a car. I don't know what
it's promoting a different radio station.
It's not. It's just promoting a car. Don't worry.
Let me see.
Anyway, I've closed it. It's called Have a Radio Player in Your Car, and this is a...
Oh, you know what radio player is, don't you?
What's that?
Radio player is an app that you get.
Oh, it's an app, is it? Okay.
By which you can play the radio through.
Yeah, there's a handout with it. World's first voice-controlled hybrid radio for cars. So well, thank you very much indeed. Whoever sent me that, I don't know who did. But anyway, there you go. Right, let's keep going.
It's also not the world's first voice-controlled hybrid radio for cars, anyway.
Isn't it? Why?
No, because, I mean, some cars you can control the radio with your voice.
Well, there you go. But that's fantastic. Now, listen, got a big box here now.
Big box.
And it's not...
A boîte.
It's not a bottle. It's a square one in the shape of a bottle, OK? But it's definitely not a bottle. In fact, I'm struggling to get into this.
Well, then why are you opening it, then?
Well, I'm opening it because it's been sent to me. But let me tell you this.
Whose name's on the front?
Mine. It says Postman Pork.
OK, that is your name.
I can tell it is not a bottle because it's not heavy enough, but I'm opening it now, and guess what I've been sent?
I've no idea.
Hang on, I'm getting it open. Getting it open. There's a note on the end. Here's the note. I'm going to read the note now. This comes from Nick in Malden, in Essex.
Nick in Malden?
Not far from Tollishunt, Darcy, which is where I did that story about Jeremy Bamber going around shooting all his family.
Oh, right, OK.
It says this on the note, by the way. That's not me. It says, Dear Porky, thank you for the brilliant podcast you have given us since teaming up again with MG.
Oh, yeah.
Enclosed are a couple of gifts for your excellent work. Best wishes, Nick. Well, that's so kind of you, Nick. What have we got here? We've got laser... He sent me a set of Christmas lights, by the look of it.
Christmas
Except
lights?
It's not Christmas, is it?
No. Well, maybe they're just lights to put around your...
no, it says Christmas...
The Porky Penthouse roof garden.
Well, he says a couple of things he sent me. I can only find these lights. Anyway, it says...
Has he not sent me anything?
No. Oh, actually, it's not Christmas lights. You know what it is?
I don't know.
For some unknown reason, he sent me a print cartridge.
A print cartridge?
Yeah, a laser print cartridge.
Are you sure he hasn't just used that box to put something else in?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Let's have a look in here.
Why would you mistake a printer cartridge for Christmas lights?
Well, because this box has never been opened.
The printer cartridge is, like, solid and quite long.
Look, I tell you what, while I'm opening some more letters, do you want to open that? Because...
yeah, I'll give it to me.
It has been opened at that end. That needs opening, and find out what's in there, please.
I suspect there's a bottle of something in here.
Well, I don't think there is, actually. He says it's a couple of gifts, but he says it's not Christmas lights. Right, let's get to...
He says he hasn't sent you Christmas lights.
No, he hasn't sent me Christmas lights. Right, here's
why would he say, I haven't sent you Christmas lights?
Now, I'm just opening this card here. I don't know who this is from. But it's
maybe I can use the tea strainer to open it.
It says, to all of you, a big thanks, right?
Yeah.
So I'm opening this, and inside, a very strange picture or something. Is it a ghost or something? Right,
ghost.
This is from Bushy in Heart, from Caroline.
Caroline in Bushy.
Come on, sweet Caroline, Bushy in Heart.
Right.
It says, I am an avid listener, and I've really enjoyed the true or false storytelling. Well, I mean, it's all true with us. Who's this addressed to? Let me have a look.
True or false?
Yeah, we don't do that ridiculous nonsense. Yeah, it says the two mics, yeah. So it says... listen, story 20. You guys are brilliant. I'm enclosing a photo. Here. Well, I'm skipping across. There's an awful lot of words in this card.
Yeah, look, I've got this for Mike Graham in here, and it says for Porky.
Oh, I see. So 2 presents, yeah.
Well, actually, it looks like there's 3.
Okay, well, you want to pull them out while I'm doing this,
there's
please?
2 for me and 1 for you.
Oh, really? 2 presents for you, 1 for me? Okay.
That's what it looks like.
Right, it says here, I'm enclosing a photo I took at an away game when Scunthorpe were promoted to the Championship. Scunny versus Watford. I'm a Watford lifelong supporter. It wasn't a very entertaining game, 0-0 draw. Well, what's it a picture of? I mean, can you make out what that is a picture? What's that? What are you laughing at?
That's your present.
It's
my toilet
present?
brush.
Oh, really? Why have you said it's £1.99?
That's what's come for you.
So I have to point that this is not a used toilet brush. It's a new
it's
one,
brand
still
new.
wrapped up.
Why have you said you're a used one?
Bathroom, I don't know. Bathroom essentials, £1.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I, on the
suppose
other
it's
hand,
thought that
have
counts.
got some sea
Still
salt
got the
flakes.
cellophane around it, eh?
This is what I've got.
What?
Sea salt flakes.
Sea salt flakes. And what's the third present?
Well, the third, 2 boxes.
Oh,
of salt
2 boxes, one each.
of sea. No, one. They're both for me.
Both for you?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
You've got the toilet brush.
Yeah, I don't know why he just sent me a bog brush.
Well, maybe he thinks you need one.
Well,
maybe
why?
it's
Why?
Derek in Pencoed who sent you that.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe he's. Does it say who it's from?
You told me who it was from. You opened it earlier.
Oh, yeah.
You thought it was a printer cartridge was full of Christmas
Oh,
lights.
that's right, yeah.
Turns out to be a printer cartridge full of
That's
toilet
right.
brush.
Yeah, who was the guy again?
It was
who sent
Nick,
that?
wasn't it? Wasn't it
Nick
in
I think
Essex?
it was Nick, yeah.
Near the place
Now,
where all those people were massacred.
Can you make out this picture? This is supposed to be a picture of a football match between Watford and Scunthorpe.
What?
Can you make that picture out?
No.
I can't
It
either.
looks like a horse running through the mist.
It's just like somebody set fire to the goal or something. It's just you can see a goal and a load of
Well,
smoke.
maybe there's a load of mist rising from the,
I
from the
don't know.
people in front of him.
But anyway, look, it doesn't matter because
It does
says
look like a man on a horse, doesn't it?
it says to Caroline. It says it's from Caroline. She
Yeah.
says thank you to all at TalkSport for keeping me entertained, educated. I love the 2 mics. Do you know any history of Scunthorpe's football ground or anybody that does? Please, as I'd be really
Well, you've
interested
been to
to know.
Scunthorpe, haven't you, for
I've
the
been to
Everton game?
Scunthorpe. Yeah, I went to the Everton game there. I
Yeah.
went to the game in the team coach. I want to thank you very much indeed,
Yeah.
Caroline. It's always lovely to hear from our millions of listeners. Right, here's one here, and this is addressed to Postman Pork.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah, it's open here. Find out what's in here.
Yeah, what's in there? It's very warm in here, but have you turned the temperature?
No, I've tried not to. Right, dear Porky, it says here. Hang on. Yes, it does indeed.
Is it a printer cartridge?
First of all, congratulations on a cracking show and a recent edition of Ask Porky.
Yeah.
You kindly agreed to send a signed copy of the 2 Mics DVD to me so I can put it towards lots for an auction that I'm holding to raise
actually,
funds.
by the way, do you remember that
Yeah.
the one you read out last
Yes,
week
yes.
or earlier this week?
Yes.
Have you signed the DVD and sent it back?
I'm working on it.
Well, because you've got to remember to do that. I mean, it's not just about opening things and forgetting about it.
No.
If people ask you for something to be signed,
I do it. I'm working on it. My staff are working on it.
make
Honest
sure
to
it's
God.
done. Well, you haven't asked me to sign it because you wanted us to both sign it.
Oh, well, don't worry. We'll do that this evening. Right. If I can also be really cheeky, can I ask Mr. Parry if he's got any connections in football? Could he possibly get any other signed memorabilia? All help is greatly received. And this is from Bill Bradford.
Okay.
And Bill is from Russell Place in London, South East 16. Where's that?
SE16 is Rotherhithe.
Rotherhithe, there you go. Do you know a place called Russell Place?
I don't, no.
Okay. We'll work on that one, Bill. Thank you very much indeed for contacting us. Let's open another one because, we haven't got all the time in
Well,
the
don't
world.
forget, if you want something signed, you've got to put it to one side. Otherwise, you'll forget to sign
No,
it.
I won't forget anything like that. I don't forget my millions of listeners who bother to contact me. Right, let's have a
Really?
look here. I'm opening this one here. Here we go. This is from somebody who calls themselves Kanye West, although I don't think it's the Kanye West, is it? Huh?
I don't think it's Kanye West that sent it
This
to you.
is a Weatherspoons sent Somebody sent me a Wetherspoons
From
voucher.
Kanye West?
Yeah. It says, Dear Porky,
Cool.
I was so
There's anything
impressed.
in there from Beyonce.
Hang on. I was so impressed with your kind gesture last weekend when you bought the fish and chips for the down and out homeless deadbeat guy.
That's a terrible stunt, that.
That's a terrible way to describe this. In fact, our correspondent here, whose name is he said,
Kanye.
he calls himself Kanye Town, okay, to distinguish him from
Kanye
Kanye
Town.
West. Yeah. And he says, you bought fish and chips for that down-and-out homeless deadbeat half-baked bum. And he says, they're my words, not yours. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd describe him as that. He said, some of the criticism was very harsh. You truly are a man of the people and gave me the inspiration and idea to do something similar. I believe in karma. And what goes round comes round. Please find enclosed a Wetherspoons gift card for £10.24p, which is just enough for a tableful one with fish and chips, bread and butter, and a cheap pint of Carlsberg. Please enjoy, Porky. Well, that is really very, very kind of you.
You're not going to accept that, are you?
Well, I don't know what to do, really. I mean, you don't like
I
to
think
turn
what you should
gifts
do
down.
is take
It's
it
very,
to
very
take
kind.
it to Wetherspoons and give
Yeah.
it to the people at the bar
Yeah.
and say, please give this to somebody more
Right,
needy
more
than
deserving than me.
myself.
Maybe I could give it to the homeless guy.
You could do,
And
yeah.
say, oh, mate, get yourself round to Wetherspoons. This
Yeah.
is from a listener of Talk Sport.
Better
Can
still,
you?
why don't you take it in there yourself?
Here, very quickly, just...
Save the time, by the way.
Right, I would just like to say how much Picasso was lauded. He was the most overrated artist ever in the world. What he painted was rubbish. This is from Karen Tayside, Angus, Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
She says, I was right. Give me John Constable or Turner any day. Mike, we had a great artist, Macintosh Patrick in Dundee.
Okay.
And one very, very quickly.
We haven't got time for it anymore.
I'm just going to rip it open like this very,
We haven't
very
got
fast.
time.
Do you know what it is? It's
Another toilet brush.
an empty packet of Porky strips.
Strips?
Yes.
What are they?
Don't know. But thank you for sending it anyway. Bought from Sainsbury's for £1.
Right.
Thank you very much indeed. I don't know. Oh, hey, here's a letter. Just very quickly.
What do you mean very quickly? The show's going to be over.
It just says it's from me, P.
Me P.
P.
Me P.
No, P. It's just signed P.
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 Me.
P.
All of our millions of listeners,
Yeah.
but, if you're stupid and you send
Yeah.
a tweet which is in some way insulting and then it's wrong, then I'm afraid I have to point out that it's wrong.
Right.
James says this, Melton Mowbray pork pie, a product named after a place, Graham the Plank.
Yeah.
That wasn't the question.
No, the question was-
is not, can you tell me something that's named after a place? The
That's
question
right.
was, can you tell me something that's named after a place that actually wasn't named after the place because it was named after the person that invented it?
That's right.
Like the Corby trouser press.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Plank.
What's that? Typical of what you're talking about. What's the service station on the M1 core, which is 50 miles from the actual place it's named after?
You're talking about Watford Gap.
Yes, exactly. It's
But is
nowhere
it-
near Watford, is it?
No, but Watford Gap might not necessarily be anything to do with Watford.
No, well, there is no Watford Gap. Believe me.
Well, is it what you mean? There is no sort of geographical
No,
scenario.
no.
So why is it called the Watford Gap?
I've no idea.
Well,
No.
do you know what the other one is?
Yes.
Which is the one before it.
What?
Which is nowhere near Newport.
Oh no, in
Newport Pagnell.
That's right, Newport Pagnell.
And
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
why
it.
it's called Newport Pagnell.
Neither do I.
So
No.
all of these things are fascinating.
Quite right.
But if anybody wants to start calling me a plank, you better get your facts right.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm afraid you're going to get slayed.
You see, you take exception, don't you, when somebody
I do.
calls you a plank, and it's
I
probably,
do.
it's probably,
Listen, I don't mind
it's probably
being-
in good humour.
I don't mind being
But
corrected
you
when I'm
can't
wrong.
take it. I can.
No, I don't.
can.
No, you've never admitted being wrong in your life.
Oh yes. I
When have you ever been wrong?
Well, one time when I
Once
admitted
in your
I
life?
was wrong, I suddenly found out I was right, so I've given up admitting I'm wrong.
So
because
you've
it's
never
not
actually
usually
been wrong,
true.
have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know
No,
when
these
you've been
thing-
wrong.
these things happen
We'll come
sometimes.
back to you because I've got somebody far more intelligent to talk to than you.
Yes,
and that
I
is
agree with
Sandra
that.
Lee. Sandra, very good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, chaps. How are you?
Very well indeed,
we are,
thank you.
We are very well indeed. I'm slightly stunned and shocked to learn that the Corby trouser press was not named after the city called Corby or the town called Corby, but in fact it was named after a bloke called Corby who didn't ever live there.
Yeah, and that's our irrelevant fact for the night. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, hey, excuse
Can we
me.
now get on
No,
talking about
excuse
serious
me.
things?
Well, no, because I want to know whether Sandra has ever used a Corby trouser press.
Well, in Australia?
I've never heard of it until this very
Is
moment.
that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Thank
no,
you.
not because she's in Australia. She's travelled the world, Sandra. You
Yeah,
know,
I
she's
know
lived
that,
in
yeah.
Britain. She's lived in America.
Yeah.
She might have come across a Corby trouser
Women
press.
are not known to be great fans of trouser presses
You're
anyway, to
about
be
as
honest.
much of an expert on women as
Yeah.
you are on everything
Yeah.
else.
Oh, yeah, is that right? Yeah. Now then.
Anyway, Sandra, tell us about this massive spider. Is it still in your house?
Yes.
It's still in the house somewhere, but we don't know where it's
Oh.
gone. So the last I saw it was last night, and it was sitting over a blind, and it literally is as big as your hand span. It is massive. I've never seen as big a huntsman in my life.
It's a huntsman, is it? Does
Yes,
that mean it's not poisonous or anything like that?
No, it's not poisonous, and it does get rid of mosquitoes and flies. The only problem is that they do have pretty big fangs, and if they get angry or if they panic and if they fang onto you, it's a pretty painful bite.
Yeah, I've never been bit by a spider, actually, so
Have you not?
I wouldn't know what a spider
Because most
bite
people
is.
have, even though...
Have they?
Yeah, I mean, you might...
Yeah.
If you wake up in the morning and you've got a little bite in your
Yeah,
arm...
it might be a little spider or
But
something.
I'll
yeah.
tell you how you tell, because it's 2 holes as opposed to 1.
Oh, I see, with the fangs. The thing is, Sandra, my mum and dad always used to tell me, don't be afraid of spiders. Spiders are very clean and they keep other things out of your house. So it can actually be quite a benefit, can it, have a spider or two around?
Having an odd huntsman is not too bad as long as you sort of don't upset them and they don't upset you and they don't crawl over you in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But there's a few others in Australia that you would certainly not want anywhere near you, being the redback,
Yeah.
and which I think we've spoken about before. Remember we had a conversation about
Yes.
a tradie who sat on an outdoor
Yes.
dunny and got
More
a
than
bite
once,
one
right?
week and he went back twice.
Yeah, absolute idiot.
Yeah.
But you see, that's the thing
Yeah.
that would worry me slightly, is that it's all very well when you can see it in the corner and you go, well, you know, it's not going to bother us at all.
Yeah.
But if it's disappeared, wouldn't you be scared that it's going to kind of creep out on you at some point?
Yeah, but they're not dangerous.
I'm not
spiders.
asking you, I'm asking Sandra.
Well, I am a bit worried. It's sort of like the last time I saw it, was sitting in our sort of bar room over where we watch television. I'm thinking, okay, is it going to become crawling out anywhere that you just don't want it to be?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's just sort of gone out the window, because I left the windows open all the last 24 hours, hoping it would find its own way out.
It seemed to live, from the pictures that you sent out, Sandra, it seemed to live on the end of its own sort of nylon cord. Was it just like suspended off the ceiling for a couple of days?
Well, no, it grips the ceiling. They're upside down. They hold onto the ceiling.
No, it looked as though it was in like mid-air to me. Was it just hanging there?
No, it was upside down on the wall.
Oh, I see.
How
right.
much as you had to drink when you were looking at the
No,
picture?
I hadn't. Listen, just talking
That's
about animals, Sandra. I saw a horrendous picture today, and it may be a common occurrence in your land, but. Look at this. Tourist Michelle Hoonjack was strolling in Byron Bay on Australia's east coast when she took a picture of a possum half disappeared into a carpet python, which was eating it.
Oh.
I mean, I hate to see these pictures, but I mean, is that a very common occurrence in Australia? These pythons swooping down and eating small animals?
Yes, that's exactly what they feed on, and they basically just lay there and wait, and then they're really quick. They grab them, and then they just pulverise them slowly.
My God, that's horrendous. Can't they do that to a child or something? Don't you worry that might happen one day?
A possum's not quite as big as a child, is it?
It is.
A possum is the size of a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you haven't had any kids, but
Hang
a possum
on.
is
Let
not very big.
me show you the picture.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I'm looking at
That's
it.
a big possum, yeah?
No, it's not a big possum.
It's
a possum.
It is. But I mean, sorry, Sandra, you weren't allowed to answer the question, the killer question I asked you. Do you ever fear? Do Australians ever fear for their children?
No.
What? Well, I would.
What is another subject?
Maybe with crops.
Another subject that Porky is very familiar with: children.
Yeah, hang on. If you've got these mad carpet pythons lying around in wait for people, who's to say that?
I mean, you're not that big. They might carry you off. Maybe we shouldn't go down there.
That would be ridiculous. Who's to say that a little toddler who's toddling around, so to speak, suddenly toddles off into a bit of undergrowth, and next minute, no sign of toddler, just a lump in the middle of a python.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think he's been spending those long afternoons in Wetherspoons again. I think that's the trouble. Although, speaking of snatched animals, right? There was a case, was there not, a few days ago, of a shark that came up onto a beach and took somebody's pet.
Amazing.
Yes, not far from where I live, actually.
Really?
Probably about 6 to 10 kilometres away from where I live.
Yeah.
It was in Port Botany and shallow water, and the couple were frolicking on the beach and throwing the ball and sticks for their dog.
Yeah.
And the dog was going into the shallows, and then all of a sudden they see the dog get dragged under by a shark.
My God, that's horrendous. Didn't they dive in and wrestle with the shark? I would have done.
Well, that's what I would have done too, but they didn't. I thought, the rotten owners. Anyway, they went and alerted the police, and that area has become quite a little breeding ground for sharks. So the experts are saying they think it was a junior great white.
What does that mean? Like a great white that hasn't grown up yet?
Yeah, a baby.
Good slightly less than great.
Yeah,
well, think of another word. What would you say is less than great?
I'd say immature.
No, it's got to be slightly great.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
See what I mean? So slightly great.
Okay, well, you could call it half great.
Half great.
Yeah,
so half great white.
Yeah,
there you go.
Half
Porky
great.
has named it a half great.
We don't have half greats in this country. We have half bakes. There's one sitting next to me in this studio.
Yeah,
believe me.
Absolutely right. Now I must tell you, Sandra, that you'll be very envious and jealous of me because, as is Porky's, I'm off to New York on Saturday to see my beautiful sister and my beautiful mother, both of whom you're very well acquainted with.
Yes, I am, and I love both of them. The two Maoris are
two
the
Maoris,
most magnificent
that's what
women.
I call them.
Yeah, the two Maoris, they're fantastic. I love them and adore them. So will you please pass on my fondest regards?
I will. Now, you might have been to New York more recently than me, because I was there like about a year ago. I don't know whether there's some place you can tell me where I can be recommended to go. I'm actually going to go and check out a place called the City Winery, where Porky and I might be doing a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up towards the end of the year. Have you ever been down there? It's down in Varick Street.
I haven't been. No, I haven't been down there.
Okay.
I haven't at all. But I tell you what, there's a fantastic place if you like barbecue, old-fashioned Southern barbecue out in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's called Hometown, and you have to get there early because there's always queues around the block. It is the most sensational food
for barbecue.
Tremendous. Okay.
Well, the thing is, though, I never even bother leaving Manhattan when I go to New York. I think once you've left Manhattan, you're not going anywhere.
Well, no, but Brooklyn's very trendy now.
Well, it is now, I agree, yeah. But that's only since the Beckhams had a child and called it
not.
Brooklyn.
No, it's nothing to do with the Beckhams.
You know, you wouldn't
No.
be surprised if that was
No.
a PR stunt in association with the borough of Brooklyn, would you?
No,
I'm sure it wasn't.
You've by far and away overestimated the Beckham brand.
Now, the thing is, Sandra, we have to get a bit serious now because there have been multiple reports in the press and the media in this country about the appalling tragedy of so many children taken from this country, Great Britain, and is to start new lives in Australia, and it didn't go well.
No, it didn't. And it was a terrible thing at the outset when you think about it. These poor little kids, some as young as 2 and 3 years old, being either abandoned or taken away. Some of those darling little children were told that their parents were dead when they weren't.
Yes.
It was just the cruelest of things. And then they got sent down to Australia to various charitable, so-called charitable organisations where they were supposed to be looked after, and they were sexually and physically abused and emotionally abused. It's just an absolute outrage, and I'm so glad that there's being an inquiry into it over there now, because a couple of years ago in Australia, 60 of them got together and they took out a class action lawsuit against the New South Wales and the federal governments, which they finally, after 7 years, won.
Right. I mean, you can't believe human behaviour sometimes, can you? It's almost like going back 200 years, shipping, shiploads of kids over to Australia who basically became slaves. And you can. It's barely believable, is it, that people would have done that? So I have to say, I'm delighted now that the whole scandal's being unveiled. But there must be some people still living in Australia very, very badly damaged by their experiences.
Oh, there are. And when these inquiries come up and people stand up and give testimony, it brings it all back for them. So it's kind of a revolving door. It's just heartbreaking. You can't, and you see these 60 and 70 and 80-year-old men and women now, and when they were just wee little things and they were abandoned and no one to hug them at night, no one to, love them, it breaks your heart.
It does.
And you can still see you can see the pain etched on their faces now.
Is it getting much play over there? Because obviously it's a big story here, and because
I suppose it's a bit of a national shame.
Well,
really,
historic crime is the in thing, without wishing to diminish it. People are really buying into it all now, and historical actions of governments and some other people and groups and celebrities and all that. I mean, is it getting much play in Australia?
It is. It's actually getting a lot of play down here because we've been going through a similar inquiry down here with institutional abuse of children, sexual and physical abuse and emotional abuse. So it's become a red hot ticket down in Australia, and it's getting sort of front page, and it's leading the nightly news. It's a very, very big story down here, and also too because our government was as complicit as your government.
Oh, absolutely. It was a terrible scandal. On a brighter note, Sandra, our very flamboyant Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson.
Mr. Johnson,
has recently met your Foreign Secretary, the Australian Foreign Secretary, and certainly, people of a certain persuasion in this part of the world hope that will spark a renewed era of trade and prosperity between our two nations. Is that getting any play down there?
It is, and that would be great because we're always good on the hunt for more open trade and sort of better relationships. And, since the post-war era, the Australian and the British trade has sort of declined in favour of others, especially with Australia, with the Asian market. So we've got increased trade with China, increased trade with Japan and India. It'd be good to get sort of back on a good footing with Britain.
Is your Foreign Secretary a woman, as I remember from that? And what sort of a person is she? How does she rate as a politician?
She rates pretty good. She's the deputy leader of the Liberal Party here, so she's number 2 to our Prime Minister, although she's not the Deputy Prime Minister because that's the head of the Coalition Party.
Right.
She's been the number 2 in the Liberal Party for the past 4 leaders of the Liberal Party. So there's some question as to whether or not she has aspirations for the top job. Nobody can tell.
Oh, I see.
But
A bit like Boris Johnson.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think she likes swanning around the world, in designer gear and meeting heads of state and sort of, drinking in first class sort of, cabins.
Oh, they all do.
Sounds like your kind of woman, Porky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You give me a phone number, will you? I need to start talking to this person immediately.
Exactly right. Listen, Sandra, we've got to go. Thank you so much for joining
Sandra,
us. As ever. Have a lovely week or so. We'll talk to you very soon. Sandra Lee there reporting into us from Sydney, Australia, where it's still around about 36, 37 degrees, by the way.
My God.
Still pretty hot. Got some great tweets coming in about places that are named after places they are not.
Yes.
Which is, again, not quite the question I was asking, but nevertheless, well done. Keep them coming at the 2 mics. Always lovely to talk to Sandra Lee down in Australia. We are still planning to go and head down there and do a show, aren't we?
Well, I have been talking to
the next year.
Yeah, I've been talking to the Sydney Opera House, and
not this year, right?
Not this year, but it could be year
sometime soon. Ian has tweeted us at the 2 mics. What a lovely picture Porky is painting. A toddler-shaped lump in the middle of a python.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry.
Family show.
But you do see these horrific pictures, don't you? These pythons, they swallow like antelopes and all sorts of things.
You see. I mean, do you remember? Was there not one with a crocodile?
Yeah, something like that. Crocodile versus a python. I can't bear all that. I can't stand creepy crawly stuff. You know.
Exactly.
Now, talking about.
Hang on, let me just read you a few more tweets.
Please do.
Stud says this: the Windsor Grammar School pupil, 1971 to 77, is now feeling proud of being from an industrial town. # Corby Press.
Yeah.
And I've asked people to name me places that were named named things which were not named for the place they supposedly come from.
You see, that's a very complicated...
It's not complicated.
It is. People don't understand what you're looking for. What are you looking for?
Well, look at the Corby Trouser Press, right?
Yes.
For all intents and purposes, you would assume comes from Corby.
I never did.
In Northampton.
I never did.
Apparently it doesn't come from Corby, Northampton, because it was invented by a guy who was called Corby.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Nobody seems to get this. It's not difficult. However, I'm quite enjoying some of the other stuff coming in. Mick says Scotch Corner isn't in Scotland, which is true.
That's right.
And CLC says, how about this, places that don't exist? Port Vale Football Club, there is no place called Port Vale.
That's right.
Which is true.
It's not one of the 5 towns in the potteries.
6 towns.
6 towns of the potteries.
Matt says Watford Gap, according to Google, is named after a low-lying area of land between hills near the village of Watford in Northamptonshire.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, well, I'm not aware of that. The other one is, isn't the football team that Gordon Brown supports doesn't exist, does it, in terms of a place?
Which team is that?
It's
Wraith, isn't it?
Wraith Rovers. Yeah. They'll be dancing on the streets of Wraith tonight, but there's no place called Wraith, is there?
I don't believe there is, no.
Exactly.
But where they play in Fife somewhere, don't they? They not play near Kirkcaldy or somewhere?
Kirkcaldy, is it?
Kirkcaldy.
I'll be dancing. There was a famous commentator who said, I'll be dancing on the streets of Wraith.
It was the guy that used to do all the rugby.
Archie McPherson.
Bill McLaren.
Archie
McPherson was a football commentator.
Oh, I've worked with him. I worked with Archie McPherson.
Sure you have. Why don't you tell us a nice story about you
I did
instead of him?
I did a show with him once, right, and he was very old then. And
when I said, why don't you tell us a nice story about you and him, I didn't actually mean that.
No, I was going to tell you, but he's very old and he's a bit doddery. And I made a mistake in recruiting him to the...
What, you signed this guy up, did you?
I didn't sign him up. We happened to be in Scotland, doing some, show the day before an England international.
What was the other guy? Arthur Montford was the other guy,
Don't remember Arthur Montford.
He was a mate of my old man's.
But I remember Archie McPherson well, and it was only when I sat down next to Archie I realised how old and doddery. Is he dead now, by the way?
I don't know.
I think he is. And he kept reading out the wrong things off bits of paper and all that kind of stuff.
A bit like you, then?
Well, it became a bit of a fiasco, actually.
Did you do a show with him?
Yeah, I did a show with him, yeah.
That must have been. Yeah, they're from Kirkcaldy, I was right.
Yeah, Kirkcaldy?
Wraith Rovers, Kirkcaldy in Fife.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
The club was founded in 1883.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm very pleased about that.
We fill you with information on the show.
We certainly do.
Yeah.
But look, I tell you what, we're talking about animals there, right? And I made a fantastic discovery.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that wild elephants only need 2 hours sleep a night?
I was reading something about this today, yeah, because quite frankly, a lot of people were tweeting you saying you've got a lot in common with these elephants.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. But
Did you
anyway,
not see that?
They survive on 2 hours sleep a night.
Yeah.
They go without rest for as long as 46 hours.
And they never forget either, do they?
They never forget, and they can cover distances without stopping of 20 miles.
The never forget bit, of course, is where they differ from you.
I never forget. The latest study, researchers monitored 2 free-roaming African elephant matriarchs. That's like the mothers.
Yes.
Because the bull elephants just push off all the time.
Do they? Well, where do they go?
Well, they just go off rampaging around. The bull elephants, the male elephants, leave the family and go off rampaging around, eating trees and all that kind of stuff.
Because when you see, some of these wildlife programs, they're quite. They like the family unit elephants, don't they?
Well, yeah, but always led by the mother. You know, when you see a string of elephants and the trunk is connected to the tail of the elephant in front,
yes,
that's the mother and all the children. There's never a male. There's never a bull elephant in that. He goes off and makes a separate life.
But so do they just continually have the sort of morals of an alley cat type lifestyle and then making families everywhere?
Yes, that's
right.
right.
What you're talking about?
That is right. That is right. What they found is that elephants slept an average of 2 hours a day, the shortest known time of any land mammal. That's all they need. On several days during a study, the elephants went without sleep for up to 46 hours, and in that 46 hours may have travelled as far as 19 or 20 miles, possibly due to being aware of a disturbance such as lions who attack them or poachers.
Yeah.
The elephants sleep lying down only every few nights. They sometimes sleep standing up.
Horses sleep standing up, don't they?
Do they?
I think so.
Do they?
Yeah. Cows as well.
Cows do?
Yeah.
I see cows lying down all the time.
Yeah, they do lie down. But, there's the old wives' tale, isn't there? If a cow is lying down, it means it's going to rain.
Well, it does, because what they do is they protect the ground below them to keep it dry.
Yeah.
That's why they lie down.
Why do they want to keep the ground dry?
So that they don't sit on wet grass.
Yeah, but why, if they didn't sit in the first place, they wouldn't have to worry about it.
No, but if they don't know how long the rain's going to last,
right.
So what they do is they sit down to make sure the ground below them is dry.
Yeah, but why would they bother about sitting? Because they don't sit down as a general course, a general thing, do they?
Yeah, but they know how long the rain's going to last, and they sit down at least once a day.
Do they?
So if the rain goes on for 2 or 3 days, the grass is always wet, so they sit down to keep the land...
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, of course I'm
That's
sure.
Rubbish.
It's not...
That's complete
It is
confidence.
not... Well, why do you think they sit down?
I don't know, that's what I'm saying.
They sit down. When you see cows
Usually
sitting
cows
down...
stand,
You
don't
know,
they?
yeah. When cows sit down, you know rain is coming. The reason for that is that cows have sensors in their head which can tell that it's going to rain.
Are you sure?
And that's the moment they sit down because they're protecting the ground below them to keep it dry.
Yeah, but if they didn't sit down in the first place, my point is,
Yeah.
and they don't always sit down,
Yeah.
because when it's raining, I've seen cows standing up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if they're not bothered about standing in the rain,
Yeah.
why do they want the grass beneath their feet or hooves to be dry?
They don't like sitting on wet grass.
Yeah, but what if they're not sitting? It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, but they have to sit once a day because they get tired and they want to sit down.
Really? You think?
I mean, honestly, I'm
not sure.
You're so dense not to be able to appreciate the point I'm making, which
These
is a very
points-
basic one.
No, but
if you sit down on a
these are
bit
the
of
things
grass,
that people like to know the answer to.
I've given you the answer.
Yeah,
that bit of grass can't get wet because the cow's sitting on it. You oaf.
But I don't know why you get so objectionable about
Well,
it.
it's just because you are so stupid sometimes. It irritates me.
Well, I know it irritates you, but the reason why people like to hear the answers to these questions is because nobody actually knows for sure. You know, because
I
you
know
live
for sure.
No, because you live in a world which is a black and white world.
Yeah.
You think everything has an answer. Not everything doesn't have an answer.
Listen,
and that's called philosophy.
I live in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Yes,
so
and they're drilling for oil there, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah. I see both the urban requirements of urban life when I travel up to the city, and I see the country requirements of country life when I'm down in Stockbroker Belt.
You're part of what you call Stockbroker
Excuse
Belt,
me.
Surrey, is technically part of London.
No,
It is still part of outer London.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Don't be
if
ridiculous.
I put your postcode into what is a postcode machine register, it will tell me that it is Greater London.
What on earth does a geographical pinpoint on a map mean?
Well, it
means nothing.
Yeah, no, it means that you are categorised basically as somebody who lives in the suburbs of London.
It's utter rubbish.
It is not at all the country. Anyway, we're out of time.
Utter rubbish.
The Porky Quiz is coming up.
Like a fool, I went and stayed too long. I'm wondering if your love's still strong. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Then that time I went and
We are filming live on Facebook, of course. If you have not signed up to Facebook yet, we will put a link out there on Twitter for you as well. Dave Levine has just come in with a box, which is Trivial Pursuit Master Edition.
Yeah.
It says here, reveal your inner genius, age 16 plus.
Yeah, talking about me there, the inner genius
The
bit.
inner genius. Now, as you can see, it is a completely sealed box.
Yes.
It has not been tampered with. Would you like to examine the box to ensure that it hasn't been tampered with?
Yes, please. I would.
Please have a look.
Okay.
It's covered in cellophane. You can clearly see that nobody has touched it at any stage, right? I'm going to now take a pair of scissors.
Right, okay.
To open it up.
Well, you need scissors?
Well, yeah,
Just rip the cellophane off. It's quicker.
Well, no, it's quicker if I use scissors. And I'm now opening it, right? And up to the point of no return here.
Yeah.
And the plan is, well, the last time we used a game of Trivial Pursuit, which is an older game, we basically took the cards out. We're
That's
not going
right.
to roll a dice or anything like that.
No,
It's
no,
too
no.
complicated.
We'll do.
We took the
I think
cards
there's 5 categories. Is there not?
There's usually 6, I think.
6 categories. We'll do 2 from each category.
Do
Okay.
2 from each category. That's 12 questions.
12 questions.
You sure you don't want to do just
Make
5?
some very strange noises there.
Well, that's the box opened, right?
Okay.
Welcome to Trivial Pursuit Master Edition.
Okay.
Okay, now we're not going to bother with the board. We are going to bother with the cards. Okay,
Yeah.
now would you like to see that these cards are also all sealed?
See.
Right, they're all sealed. I don't know why there's 2 boxes of cards.
Okay. Well, there's 2 players usually, isn't there?
Oh, okay. Is
Yeah.
that why?
I don't know.
All right, okay, well, we'll get rid of that.
Yeah.
Right, over there. We've got these boxes of cards here.
Okay, let's get
which
on with
we've
it. Let's get on
well,
with
I'm
it.
going to open them. You're the one that wanted to have it all sealed before we got it, right?
Okay.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Right, now, there are indeed, as you say, 6 categories, okay?
Yeah.
So, let's see. When we open this, it will be... There are different colours, right?
Yes.
Why don't we do it by colour?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is blue.
Yeah.
There is magenta.
Yeah.
There is yellow.
Yeah.
There is red.
Yeah.
There is green.
Yeah.
And there is orange.
Right.
Okay, so why don't you straight off the bat...
Yeah, but what do they represent?
Well, I'm not able to tell you that.
Yes, of
because
course you are. You know, it's either
doesn't matter.
geography
It doesn't
and
matter.
history.
No, you're doing it colour-coded.
All right, all right.
They're colours, right?
All right. Blue, magenta,
Yeah, blue, magenta,
Yeah.
red, yellow, green and orange.
red, yellow.
So I'm just going to pick these.
Green,
I'm going to put these cards here. You can see me
orange.
shuffling them.
Okay.
right? Just like that.
I don't think you should shuffle them.
You
don't
don't
think
think
you
I
should be
should shuffle
shuffling them? No, I don't.
All right, well, I'll not shuffle them.
Yeah,
I can easily unshuffle them.
Yeah.
So what you would like me to do is just pick the first one off the top.
Exactly.
All right.
Let's go with it.
Okay, well, tell me what colour you want first.
Right, I'm going to start with my favourite colour, blue.
Favourite colour, blue.
Let's
Blue-
get on with it.
Blue question is this. What is El Gordo? The fat one, one of the biggest of its kind in the world.
El Gordo.
El Gordo.
El Gordo. El Gordo, the fat one, one of the biggest in the world.
Yes, one of the biggest in the world. What is it?
That is a... yes, I know. It's a bomb invented by the Allies at the end of the Second World War.
El Gordo.
Yeah, we had the big one and the small one. El Gordo was the big one.
Incorrect.
No!
Stupid.
No.
It's a lottery in Spain.
A lottery?
Yes.
Ah.
All right, next colour, please.
Okay. Next colour, yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, next colour, yellow. Che Guevara was killed in 1967 while attempting to lead a revolution in which country?
Che Guevara, who helped liberate or incarcerate Cuba with Fidel Castro, then went off and decided he was going to start a revolution in another country, but he bit off more than he could
Well,
chew.
which country?
Bolivia.
Correct.
Hooray!
Easy.
Easy. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
Next colour, please.
Next colour, magenta, please.
Magenta.
Yes.
Who succeeded Richard Ingrams as editor of Private Eye in 1986?
In 1986, Richard Ingram stood down. He founded Private Eye. It was taken over by a man who has an incredibly ugly face, in my opinion, who once said he was a banana. His name is Ian Hislop.
Correct.
Hooray!
Easy.
Easy. Oh, look at this. Look at this. When the questions are absolutely straightforward.
Well, you
Woo!
got 2 out of 3 so far.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not incorrect in saying,
Yes.
you've had 1 magenta.
Yeah, one
had
blue,
blue and
one yellow.
1 yellow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your next colour?
Next colour is going to be orange.
Your next colour is going to be orange.
Yes.
Who took on the hero, later called Mario, in the first game to feature the character in 1981?
Who took on the... So, Mario, is this Bob the Builder stuff, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Who took on Mario?
Yes.
See, I've never played those computer games, so
Yeah,
I'm at
well.
a disadvantage here.
Oh, well.
So
you
what
said
I'm
you were
going to
going to
do
do very well because these are not gerrymandered questions. So
I'm going to draw my extensive intelligence. Who took on Mario? Is
Yes,
that it?
that's right.
So Mario, I thought Mario was a hero. I don't think you took Mario on. I thought
I don't know.
Mario
Can't help you.
conquered people.
I can't help you.
Right, the person who took on Mario in a computer game, in what year was it?
In 1981.
1981 would have been... Oh, I'll tell you what. It could have been... In fact, I reckon it was...
Go on.
I think it was...
I have to hurry you because we're running out of time.
Yeah. I think it was Daredevil Dan.
Incorrect.
No.
Don't be so stupid.
It was, in fact, Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
All right, next colour.
What? Donkey Kong. We'll go for green, please.
We go for green, okay. Green question. What name is given to the number sequence that begins 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21?
What?
What name is given to
Yeah.
the number sequence that
Yeah.
begins 1,
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21?
Yeah. Well, they're all numbers that can't be split up, so they are indivisible numbers. Thinking aloud.
You've got to give me an answer quickly, please.
Think aloud. Yeah. Okay. I would say they are binary.
Incorrect.
Binary. No.
This is stupid.
No.
They are Fibonacci sequence,
They're
which
what?
occurs frequently in the natural world. The Fibonacci sequence, very well known.
Fibonacci. What
Yeah.
are you on about?
Time for another question, please.
Red.
Question red. Okay.
My least favourite colour, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, let's see how well you do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question red. What is the name of the secret language used by the teenagers in the 1970s film A Clockwork Orange?
Oh, blimey. Clockwork Orange. Malcolm McDowell.
I think that'd be an
wasn't it?
orange question, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it'd be an orange
But
question.
it's red.
Great film, that, by the way. They all drank milk, didn't they? Walked around in bowler hats.
Yeah.
And went around knocking on doors and sexually
Very violent.
assaulting housewives.
Yeah, you don't need to bring that into
Terrible.
the quiz. Thank
right,
you.
I believe it to have been. Now,
You have to hurry you.
Something in the back of my head says Quarky, but it wasn't Quarky. I think they adopted that international language made after the Second War, Esperanto.
Incorrect.
No,
This is stupid.
It was, in fact, Nadsat, created by the writer Anthony Burgess. Now, that was a red question. So
Right.
you've now taken all 6 colours. You want to go back to blue?
We'll go back to blue.
So I'm going to keep it in the same sequence.
Same
I'm going to make
sequence,
sure that you
yeah.
know the answer to all of that, okay?
Yeah.
The River Spree runs through the centre of which European city?
The River Spree.
Spree.
River Spree.
Yes.
Spree. Now, I've been to most European cities of any consequence.
Have you?
I've never come across the River Spree, so that must be some bomb city somewhere, which isn't worth going to.
Well, I couldn't possibly comment.
So I'm going to say it's probably, let me see, the River Spree, I reckon, runs through Florence.
Incorrect.
No!
This is stupid.
It actually runs through Berlin.
Berlin.
Berlin, yes.
I've been to Berlin. I've never seen the River Spree. Right, we're going to go to yellow.
Yellow now. Which historical figure has been portrayed on film by Ingrid Bergman, Gina Seberg and Mila Jovovich?
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
What historical person?
Which historical figure, yeah.
Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah. Gene Seberg and Mila Jovovich.
I know this. I'm sure I know this. I would say the answer to that, without a shadow of a doubt, is Joan of Arc.
Correct.
Hooray!
Easy.
Easy. Yes.
Okay, we're now on to magenta.
Right, magenta, yeah.
Which ancient Greek philosopher is associated with the theory of forms?
Forms?
Yeah.
What sort of forms?
I presume the ones you fill in for your taxes? I have no idea.
No, you
I'm just
idiot.
asking the questions.
It means shapes, forms.
Shapes.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Who was he? Greek?
Which ancient Greek philosopher is associated with the theory of forms?
Yeah, I know this one.
Go on.
Archimedes.
Incorrect.
No!
This is stupid.
It is, in fact, Plato.
Plato.
Which is the only other one you've ever heard of,
Tell you
right?
what, he's a plate.
Planko. Next question would be an orange question.
Orange.
Okay, now let me see what I've got here for orange. In which country was the second season of cricket's Indian Premier League held in 2009?
Ooh. Now, are we talking new names or old names?
What?
Because some of the Indian cities have been renamed.
Well, I would go with the new ones if I were you.
Okay, so 2009.
2009.
I'm thinking aloud here.
Yeah.
Now, it could be Delhi. Thinking aloud. Could be Calcutta.
I said the new names.
Hang on. Excuse me. I convert names in my head. Could be Delhi, could be Calcutta.
Yeah.
Could be... where's that black hole? Oh, that was... No, that was Calcutta.
You need to hurry up.
Okay,
We're going 12 questions.
Okay,
here.
I'm going for Delhi.
Incorrect.
No,
This is stupid.
One, that's not the new name for it, and also the question was which country, and the answer is South Africa. So you got that wrong completely.
I thought you said which city.
I said which country. Very
Well, hang
clearly.
on. When I was going on Delhi and Calcutta, why
That's not
didn't you
my
say
problem.
we didn't mean cities?
That's not my problem.
Well, you
Not my
mispronounced
problem.
the question.
Not my problem.
You blinking oaf.
Next question is a green one, right?
Yes.
Let's see. What is diphenhydramine hydrochloride, better known as?
Diphen what?
Diphenhydramine hydrochloride, better known as.
Well, I'm thinking aloud here.
Are you?
It's not LSD, because LSD is lysergic acid diethylamide.
How are you such an expert in acid?
Don't know, just
You haven't taken it?
No, I've never have, no.
You sure you haven't taken any tonight?
No, I haven't taken it tonight, no. So I would say...
Yeah, go on.
I would say it is... I would say that is another name for a mind-bending drug. A mind-bending drug.
I'll have to hurry you.
And I would say it is, in fact, LSD.
Incorrect.
No!
Don't be so stupid.
It's, in fact, Benadryl, which sounds a bit like Benylin. I'm surprised you didn't know that one.
No.
Now, the final question is, of course, a red one.
It's not my favourite colour.
It's not your favourite colour. Let's see. Red. Which disco classic provided the bass line and backing for the first mainstream hip-hop hit, Rapper's Delight, in October 1979?
What? The hip-hop hit Rapper's Delight?
Yes.
And what's the question?
What disco classic provided the bass line and backing for the first mainstream hip-hop hit, Rapper's Delight, in October 1979?
Okay, I think I know this one.
Yeah, go on.
1979.
Yeah.
1979.
Obviously, I'm looking for the name of a song and an artist here.
Okay, I think the song was D-I-S-C-O. Thinking aloud. I'm just thinking aloud. Hang on.
I have to hurry you.
I said D-I-S-C-O. She is delightful. I'm going for half a point here.
Yeah.
Disco, but don't know the name of the group.
Disco, don't know the name of the group. Incorrect.
No!
It is, in
Don't
fact,
be so stupid.
Good Times by a band called Chic, who, of course, you might remember.
Well, Chic was Neil Richards.
Would you like to hear it? Neil Richards.
No, was it Nile? Nile Rodgers.
Neil Richards.
Nile Rodgers.
Have you got it? Let's have a listen.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know that record.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah,
This is Rapper's Delight.
That was a trick
Do
question.
you know how many you've got out of 12?
3.
That's 3 out of 12.
Yeah.
That's less than 3 out of 10.
No, but you picked the
That's
most difficult
horrendous.
questions.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I did it by colours.
There's a screen here. I can't see how many cards you've got.
I only picked the colours that you asked.
Yeah, but you've got so many cards.
No, that's not true.
You could look at all the cards
No,
and choose the most
absolutely
difficult
not.
question of the colour
I took
from different cards.
I took each card, right?
No, I don't believe you.
Well, the next time we do it, if you
Yeah.
wish, I offered you the opportunity to do this. You told me to get on with it.
Yeah.
If you want, you just give me 12 cards. That's all you do.
No.
If you want to do that.
No.
You know what I mean? 3 out of 12 is absolutely pathetic.
No, it's not.
So this proves once and for all that even when you insist on doing something in a sealed box with a sealed set of cards with specific questions that you ask for, you still only get 3 out of 12, which out of 10 is how many?
It's 25%.
25%.
That's a pass.
Yeah, so that's 2.5 out of 10.
No.
2.5 out of 10.
No,
That's your score. No. You complete and utter plank.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened. Finally happened. I'm slightly mad.
Greg says, Porky, I would love to see you take on the 60 McNugget Challenge, you bladderating king.
The what, sorry?
The 60 McNugget Challenge, which I presume is, can you eat 60 McNuggets all in one
I'm
go?
sorry, but I find those disgusting, these challenges. How much food can you eat? How much food can you stuff in? That's for lower life people. It's not for people who are professionals in any business they work in, stuffing food in your mouth. I've never been able to watch that film. Is it Cool Hand Luke again?
Cool Hand
Since
Luke.
I saw Paul Newman trying to stuff 50 eggs in his mouth in an hour.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Well, he managed to do it, though, didn't he?
Did he?
Kate says, I was 15 in 1967. I definitely watched the final in black and white with my dad on our Sobel TV.
Thank you
but
very
I think
much
it might have
indeed.
been a special sports view on the BBC.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I
but
saw
think,
it.
I think anyone... No, I think lots of people have seen it. There's no doubt that there is film
I saw it live that night.
There's
I know
definitely
I did.
footage of the game.
I was riveted
but
because
I really don't think it was actually on live.
I didn't quite understand even where Glasgow was. You know, I was.
I'm not surprised. You weren't a very bright child. were you?
No.
I mean, you don't even know where Glasgow is now.
Well, I get on an aeroplane and it's there when I get off. It's that's most places,
Or
isn't
unless
it?
they've cancelled the plane, in which case you get a train.
How many places have you been to when you didn't actually know where you were going? Because I remember once you went to a football game in Moldova. Is it Moldova?
Moldova, yeah.
Nobody on the
It was
plane.
an England game.
It was an England game,
Yeah.
and nobody on the plane knew where we were going. I mean, this isn't true. You get on the plane, right?
Well, you should know where you're going.
No,
though.
you get on the plane, and you don't care where you're going. And you get on the plane, it takes off, and then we're all looking at each other and say, which direction are we flying in?
Yeah.
Nobody kind of knew.
But were you not the press officer of the FA in those days?
No, I wasn't in
Shouldn't
those
you be able
days.
to tell them exactly where you were going?
No, I always worked that out. The one time I had a problem was when I was working for the Football Association in my role as head of communications. We flew to Latvia, and I have to admit, I did have to sort of, scramble my brains to explain to people where we were going in mid-flight when they asked me.
Now, here's a very interesting piece of information which has been passed to me by one of our Twitter followers called Daniel. And it is, in fact, the TV listings for the 1966-67 European Cup final, Thursday, 25th of May.
Yes.
And it says... Scottish and Grampians showed the match live from 5:25 to 7:10 with a break for the news.
Right.
The game was not shown by other ITV regions, but viewers could watch it live on BBC One from 5:20 to 7:30, also with a break for the news, and with Ken Wilsonholme commentating.
Well, I told you.
Milan took an early lead with a penalty. We know about all that. Gemmell equalised on 62 minutes. Chalmers netted a late winner for Celtic on 85.
See, I
so
told
according
you.
to that, it was on the BBC.
Thank you very much indeed. So why weren't you watching it on the telly?
I don't remember watching it. Maybe I was just too young to remember it.
Maybe
I'm
you
pretty
were.
sure we listened to it on the wireless.
Maybe you were, but I definitely saw it, and that's been justified now by a load of listeners who've backed me up, and you finally caved in and got to...
you see, again...
But you see, you looked at the facts. You have to look at the facts.
Well,
instead
I
of
needed the facts. I needed the facts because so much of what you say is complete and utter untruth that I could never believe anything you tell me.
Well, you've just been telling everybody for the last 36 minutes it wasn't on TV, so
I don't
you
think
couldn't
it was
have
on
seen
TV.
it. And now when I asked you to examine the facts, you find it was.
Yeah, but now that I've found the facts, I'm more than happy to say, yes, it must have been on TV, but I don't remember watching it on TV because I was much younger than you, because you're much older than me, and therefore I don't have a recollection of it, and I'm pretty sure we listened to it on the radio. Maybe my mother decided that she didn't want us to watch it on television because she had something else to watch.
Perhaps you were a dumb child.
No, I was never a dumb child, actually.
I think you probably were.
But, let's not turn it into a competition. I don't try and, win things against you. You're the one that tries to win things against me.
No, I don't.
I'm more than happy for you to be right. It's so rare that I will, in fact, salute you for being correct.
Thank you very much
This
indeed.
will be the first time you've got something right this year.
Thank you very much indeed.
And it's already March.
We have a bit of a Scottish flavour to the show tonight. Do you know why?
Why?
I have discovered through my contacts in the world of business that Aen Brew, which of course is the national drink of Scotland, isn't it?
It certainly
Is in fact changing its secret recipe for the first time in its history.
Really?
Yes, and do you know why?
Why is it?
To cut back on sugar levels. They've decided it's time.
Do they not do a sugar-free version then, like everybody else does?
No, they do one version, and they're going to sort of reboot the recipe. Now, I've got some fantastic facts here. Only 3 people in the world know the secret Iron Brew recipe. Okay?
Well, in fact, I've told you this before, that Iron Brew was refused a licence to sell its product in America because the FDA asked them for the recipe in order to give them a licence.
Yeah, I see.
And they refused to tell them what the recipe was. They said, no, it's a secret.
Right, it's a secret, yeah. Now, I'll tell you why they might have done that. Iron Brew is made in vats which contain 8,000 litres of fluid, okay?
8,000 litres?
8,000 litres, okay?
I can't imagine how big that is.
Hang on.
That's quite big, isn't it?
It's very big. And within the 8,000 litres, the men who put it together pour in 32 different ingredients into the vats.
Right.
How about that?
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Eh?
Nobody's ever been able to establish precisely what Iron Brew is actually made up of.
Well, that's right, yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of it, actually. Have you ever drunk it?
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
You like Iron Brew?
I buy it in plastic bottles in Morrison's in litre form.
You've never told me you buy Iron Brew.
I do.
You've always told me that your soft drink of choice is orange squash.
Oh, not at all. Today I bought a 1 litre bottle of Dandelion and Burdock and a 1 litre bottle of Iron Brew.
Oh, right.
And they're both in my fridge at home.
Okay.
I drink it all the time.
Well, you've never mentioned this. You've never said that you drink Iron Brew.
I got another parking ticket today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where?
And guess what? You won't believe this. This is. I wasn't going to tell you
Not
this.
from the same guy that was in tears the other day.
The same guy.
He gave you another ticket?
Yeah.
Did he give you more crocodile tears?
No, but
this
you know-
guy's clearly a charlatan.
Do you know what? He stitched me up really badly.
Yeah, he doesn't like you, does he?
No, he stitched me up really badly.
Yes.
I parked, right, I had to go to Sutton again, right? This
Oh,
is
so
where
you're
this
back
guy
in
works.
Sutton?
Well, the reason
How
is...
unusual.
The reason is I had to actually... had to go
Why don't you just go and do your shopping where you live?
No, I had to go to my surgery, okay?
Surgery?
Yes, because I had
Well,
to...
the psychiatrist.
No, you idiot. I had to get a variation on my prescription to keep me alive, my heart tablets, okay?
Keep you alive?
Yeah, no.
Rubbish.
What, sorry, what are you mocking for?
Well, because I don't
What are you mocking
believe
for?
a word of all this cobblers, right?
I mean, I've brought in the tablets and showed
Yeah.
you them.
Well, that
You know, I
doesn't mean
had
anything.
to because you were so
Doesn't mean
dismissive
anything.
of the,
First of all,
the edge upon which I live.
First of all, I'm expected to believe that you were on the heart transplant waiting list.
I was.
Right, and then taken off it.
I took myself off it.
Yeah, nobody's ever taken themselves off that.
Except me, and
Yeah,
survived.
right.
Me.
Which
me,
means you
medical
couldn't
miracle.
have needed one in the first place, right?
I did need one.
Well, nobody that has ever been in the history of heart medicine has taken themselves off the heart. You know, there is no doctor in the history of hearts who has said, "Oh, this person who was on the heart transplant list needed a heart. Don't worry, he's fine now."
I've told you I'm medical miracle.
His heart's repaired itself.
I've been to conferences and spoken to people
Well,
about it.
you tell me that, but I've no evidence of that either.
Well, I don't care whether you got evidence or not. Anyway, the point is...
Yes.
So
so you went to see the doctor?
I went to the surgery to get a variation on my prescription.
Variation?
Okay? I'm trying to cut down on the tablets.
Yeah,
okay?
good idea.
So anyway, so I park in a bay there, right?
Well, outside the doctor's?
Near to the doctor's.
Hasn't the doctor got a car park?
Well, you're not allowed to use it unless you're like a doctor, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you could put a white coat on and pretend you're one just to get a parking spot.
I'll just ignore that. Another piece
You
of
did it
stupidity.
to interview Peter Sellers.
Well, I did.
I'm not like I want you to tell that story.
No, I won't tell the story because he was dead, but I didn't realise. He didn't look dead.
No.
No, he didn't.
How can you not look dead?
Well, he had like all sorts of pipes and masks and things, so it's difficult to tell.
Yeah.
Anyway, point
It's a bit like looking at you. You don't really look alive, but apparently you are.
There's something wrong with you tonight.
There's nothing wrong with me, no.
Been
Carry
on the you been on the grog today?
I had a couple of drinks earlier.
Oh,
yeah.
you did?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I took my daughter out for dinner.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That was
always your cover.
That was at 4 o'clock.
It's always your cover, isn't it? You know, I wasn't really drinking. I took my daughter out for dinner.
I took my daughter out for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
just
the
to fill
truth.
your face with
The
food.
difference between you and I is I actually tell the truth, and you don't.
Yeah, listen.
It's simple.
Anyway, so I park in this bay, right?
And I mean, how much of this story is going to be true, we'll never know.
No, hang on. I park in this bay.
See the time.
And I see the guy, you know, and I thought, oh, that's the guy from the other day. It's his patch.
Was he
so
still
to speak.
weeping?
Well, no, he wasn't weeping, but I mean, I could have been weeping later. So anyway, I get out of my car and I go and put money in a machine to get a ticket, and I put it on my dashboard,
Yes.
okay? And I actually waved at this guy. I waved at him, right?
Oh, yeah. To go,
You know,
hello, mate, how are you?
no, just, you know, and
Yeah.
ticket and all that. I go into the I was only there for about 20 minutes,
And
right?
how much time did you put on the ticket?
1 hour.
An hour, okay.
Yeah. I come out, and you won't believe it, there is a parking ticket
Right.
underneath my windscreen wiper.
Then he come back and go, yeah, if I were you, I'd appeal that, like he did the other day.
No. And do you know why? Because the bay
Why?
I'd parked in was a residents
Ah,
only
you see,
permit.
that's tricky, that.
Yeah, but hang on. He saw me putting my ticket in.
Yeah.
If he was a decent chap, because yesterday I thought
He's
he was
not
a
a
decent
decent
chap
chap, he's
for
a traffic
crying.
warden.
Now I believe him to be a damned ignoramus.
Yeah.
He should have come to me and said, don't put money in that's a permanent...
Well, one of the problems,
that's
right?
a residence permit
One of the
bay.
problems is that they have sometimes these shared bays, don't they? And,
Yeah.
and one half of the bay is residents, another half is residents
I can't believe it.
and visitors. So
I
how
can't
much are you
believe
going to pay?
Well, this is the other thing. When the other day I got one, I thought I couldn't care less because I realised that if you pay within 28 days, it's half of
It's
what
half,
the fee is.
yeah.
So I thought it'd be about 30 quid.
Yeah.
Do you know what the full amount is now?
What is it?
£110.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've got to pay 55.
I've got to pay 255s.
Why?
Because I got the one the other day, didn't I? I haven't had a parking ticket for
That's
years, and now
brilliant.
I've been massacred with
This
parking
guy
tickets.
is clearly stalking
Yeah,
you.
he is.
If you see him again, I would
Yeah.
move on.
I'm gonna
Don't
knock
park
his
anywhere
hat
near
off.
him.
I'll knock his
well,
hat
no,
off.
you can't do that. That would
Yeah.
be unwise.
It would be.
Jason says Porky's ability to lie and swerve questions is incredible.
This is-
Has he considered replacing Jeremy Corbyn?
Listen,
Well, talk about a man who needs a transplant of some kind. He needs a transplant of popularity.
Getting back to I'm Brew just very quickly.
We haven't got any time.
A higher rate for those with more than 8 grams per 100 millilitres in tax has led to a revision of the recipe.
Right. Oh, okay. And also, somebody sent in a picture of the sugar-free version.
Oh, yes.
And Ian says, Porky's raw again, #plank.